All right, hey guys. Since we're not in school this week again, and we're going to be starting a new project starting this week. I mentioned before that I wanted to do a digital drawing kind of tutorial, a digital drawing / painting project. And so I found a bunch of there's tutorials online on YouTube that kind of showed this technique, but I don't really like any of them. So I was gonna make my own, and I want to make it shorter. I'm gonna do this in steps. I'm gonna kind of go through how to do layers, and then I'll make another video to show you how to create trees, and then possibly another one to give you a little bit more detail on how to make your landscape more realistic. So you can see this right here that I've done. I've already started doing it. I'll show you a few examples. What I'm basically doing is we're creating a landscape with layers, and I'm using one color. So doing this monochromatically. So choosing one basic color and then either adding black or white in order to create different tones of that color. I'm sorry, shades and tints. So here's an example. Here's a really basic example with some clouds in it. And I'll show you the clouds later. Here is one I was working on using paintbrushes instead of a lasso tool, which we're going to use today. And here's a pretty advanced one that I was working on. And we're not going to get here. Hopefully we'll get here later. But I want to start with the basics to make it a little easier and feel less, impossible. And this is one I did the other day, practicing. And this is basically where we're going to end up today. Okay, I'll show you how to do the layers. We can put in a sun, or I have this moon with a glow, some clouds, and we're going to do this. So the first thing I want you to do is, and what I'm going to do is try to keep this to about 15 minutes. And then if you want, at any time, you can kind of pause the video and go back if you miss something. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file. So when you're in Photoshop and you create a new file, you get this dialog box that comes up for a new document. You can kind of put it at whatever you want. You can do an A4 size if you're comfortable with that. You can do a A3. You can do a custom size. You can do a square. The last one I did was this 1920 by 1050, which is kind of long. And I'm using a drawing pad, but you can use a mouse pretty easily. I've done this a number of times with a mouse. I'm actually going to go and just do an A4 size. And you can choose to be portrait style or, what do you call that? Landscape. And I'm going to go ahead and do landscape. And I'm going to put this down to 150 pixels per inch. Okay. You can do it at 72, but it seems to be blurry to me. 150 is good. 300 is even better, but it's not really that important. I'm going to create, and you're going to end up with this white blank screen. What you should do is make sure that if you follow me up here to the top, and it says window, and then workspace, you want it to be at this essentials default. That way we have the same tools over here on the side, and the same tools over here. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to our layers panel here, and you're going to see we have a background layer and it's locked. What we're going to do is we're not going to use this layer at all. Actually, I'm going to just get rid of it. Actually, we can't do that yet. I'm going to create a new layer. So you can go down here and click the new layer button, or you can hit Shift Command and N, and that will bring up this. You can name the layer if you like. If not, you can just hit OK. And we have this. So what I want to do is when I create new layers, I'm going to name them to help keep me organized. So this first layer, we're going to start creating a foreground in this area of our darkest color. So I'm just going to call this foreground. And yes, that's how you spell foreground. Good. I'm going to move over to my color panel, and I'm going to choose my main color. Last time I used this kind of sky blue color. I'm going to do these in, I kind of want to do pink. I think pink would be kind of cool. So I'm going to go to this kind of bright pink. It's going to be my middle color. Maybe up here. Okay. Now, I actually wanted to get the darkest version of that color. So here, this is saturation, and the B, don't remember what B stands for. H stands for hue, saturation, and then B, I can't remember. But I'm going to bring this, click that B, and I'm going to bring this way down to basically black. I want to keep some in there. And then I'm going to hit return or OK. And we're going to mainly use this right here. It's called the lasso tool. It's up here, and it looks like a lasso. And I'm just going to click that. Now, you have there's a polygon lasso and a magnetic lasso tool. We're not using those right now. We're just going to use this lasso tool. It's a freeform tool, so you kind of just draw in a selection. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. So I'm going to start over on this side, and I'm going to create this foreground layer. We're going to do about 4 layers here. So I'm just going to start drawing. I'm going to come up here. There's a kind of a cliff. We're going to just we're just doing a bumpy kind of landscape, maybe mountainy or hilly. We can actually kind of bring this all the way up here. You can do it kind of however you want. And you can always go back and add more to it or delete. So I have this. What you have to do is go all the way around holding your mouse button down. And then when you get off the side, you have to kind of go all the way around back to the beginning and then let go. And you get this selection line. And they call it marching ants because it looks like ants walking in a line. But this means that it's selected on that main layer that foreground layer. So then we already picked our color, and it's in this box, not this one. So this is foreground color and background color. We got that chosen, and then we're gonna go over here to the paint bucket tool. And you can see it here. If you click that, or you can hit the letter G on your keyboard, and that brings it up as well. And then you just go inside here and click, and it fills with the color. It's that dark pink. Now to get rid of this walking ant line, you either go up here to edit, where is it? Select and then deselect, or you can hit this Command D on your keyboard and it will deselect. So once you get used to doing these quick commands, it goes really fast. So now I want my lasso tool again. You can actually go up here to grab the lasso tool on the side, or you can just hit the letter L on your keyboard. L. We're going to create a new layer. I already did it here. So this layer is on top. We're going to call this middle ground or middle one. Okay. Now it's actually in front of this layer. I want it to be behind this layer. So we're going to click it and drag it down. And in that layer, we're going to do another bit of landscape. So I'm actually going to start down here, and I'm going to draw again from this side. I'm going to kind of make my bumpies. Maybe it dips down, flat, plateau. You kind of get creative with this. Do however you like. So we get to the edge, and then we go down, all the way over, back up, and lick up. And we get our selection again. So then we can go back to our color palette here, and click that. And now we're in the same color family here. We're gonna move this up a little bit, and we're gonna make a slightly lighter color to differentiate between the two layers of the landscape. So we need our paint bucket, so you can go to the side and choose the bucket or hit G. And we make sure that we're in the correct layer, middle one, and click. So now you can see the difference between the two layers, but they're in the same color family, this monochromatic pink. So I'm going to hit Command D and deselect, and we're going to continue to do this. So I can click over here and make a new layer. If I click, it'll make a layer on top, but if I hold Command and click, the layer will go under. So I want to do that. I'm going to select that again, and we're going to say middle 2. And I'm going to grab my lasso tool by hitting L on my keyboard. And I'm going to do another landscape here. I'm going to do some more rolling hills. So kind of lumpy hills, smoother. If you make a mistake, it's fine. You can just try again. It's okay that if you, like I missed the corner there. This one's always going to be behind the other one, so it doesn't have to be perfect. The main one has to be the front one. So I'm on my correct layer, middle 2. And I'm going to go to the colors again. And I'm going to bring the color up to a brighter pink. Hit OK. Get my paint bucket by hitting letter G on my keyboard. And click and fill. Now I'm going to hit Command D to deselect. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do it like a taller mountain layer. So I'm going to click my Command and click the layer, new layer button. I'm going to double click there and call this mountain. And I'm going to go back to my lasso tool by putting L on the keyboard. Now I'm going to do my big mountains. So I'm going to start here. Oops. Kind of a big. The mountains are not perfectly pointy shapes. They can be however you kind of want them. And again, if you mess it up and you don't like the shape, you can delete it. You can try again, or you can even delete parts of it. So I got my mountain here, and I'm going to go here again and choose a brighter pink. I'm going to go kind of way brighter for this one. Well, here. Hit OK. Get my paint bucket and fill that in. Great. The next thing I want to do is actually I'm going to create 2 more layers. One is going to be the background, the sky color. I'm going to hit Command and Layer. I'm going to call this Sky. And I want this to be really light, pretty light. I'm going to go way up here. And I actually want to I'm going to try this, see what this looks like. Okay. And with this, you don't have to do any selecting. You're just going to fill the whole layer with color. So I'm on my sky layer, and I'm going to click there, and I got this. Oh, it's kind of cool. And we can put clouds in the sky or a sun or a moon. I think I kind of want a sun in this picture. So I'm going to make another layer on top. I'm not going to hit Command because I want it to be on top of the sky. I'm going to click, and I'm going to call this Sun. And I'm going to use this tool here. There's this one up here. It's called the rectangular marquee. If you click it actually and hold down, you can see other options. And I'm going to click the elliptical one so I can make a circle. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to make a big sun, a big low sun. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to drag this out, but it's weird and not straight. So if you hit Shift, it'll keep it straight. Make this really big because I'm going to have it just peak above the mountains. So I unclick. Now I have this circular marquee. And I'm going to pick a color for my sun. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to bring this pink all the way up. But then I'm going to come here to this S and bring the saturation down so it's more white. Okay, maybe there. Hit OK. And now I'm just going to get my paint bucket by choosing from the side or hitting letter G. And I'm going to fill. I'm going to hit Command D and deselect. So now I got the sun. It looks okay. So something you can do is, I can move this around if I want. Kind of like it over here. You can give an outer glow on this thing. I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you clouds, and I kind of want that to be where we stop. After that, I'm going to do a short video to show you how to make a brush, a custom tree brush of any kind of tree you want. And then later I'll come back and do some tips on how to make it even more realistic. So I'm gonna, not clicking here on the word, but over here on the layer, the sun layer, I'm gonna click on the side here, double click, and it's gonna give me this panel of styles. And you can look down here on the side and all the way to this one that says outer glow, and I'm gonna click that. And see what it does. Already you can see that. I don't like this color, it's this weird blue color, which doesn't seem right to me. So I'm gonna click there, and I'm actually gonna select the pink of the sun. I might actually bring it up a little bit brighter white. Hit OK. You can adjust it through here. Like I can bring the opacity down, and it'll make it less glowy. You can play with these. That one you can play with the spread, which will give it like a ring. And you can play with the size of it. Bring the size down, it brings it closer. Bring the size up, it spreads it out more. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna hit OK. And now I got this glowing sun. Okay. A couple more things. I'm gonna show you how to make some clouds. So on a mountain, since the sun is coming in on, come on. Okay, I'm doing that, it's weird. Oh. So on the mountain, one thing we can do is we can create, I'm gonna show you two things. On the mountain, we're gonna create some 3D here, because the sun is kind of hitting the side of the mountain, so you should be able to see some variation in color. I'm just going to do it to this one to show you, but you can also go and do it in here and on this layer and also on this layer. But what you would do is, so I'm on my mountain layer and I'm going to create a new layer above it, like that. And I'm going to just call this highlight. Okay. And if you put the little pointer finger here between the two layers and you hit the Option key on your keyboard, you get this little arrow down, and you click, and it joins these two layers together. And what it's saying is it's a mask layer. So anything you create on this mask layer, it will create it on this layer, but it won't go outside of it. So if I had a paintbrush, I could paint across like this, but it would only go on the mountain. So for example, if I took this paintbrush, there's my tree, and I went, oh, I'm gonna paint here. See how it skips? It doesn't paint over here. It only paints on the mountain. I'm gonna undo that. So what I'm gonna do with it is I'm gonna grab the lasso tool again, and I'm going to just kind of carve in what I think would be the side of the mountain getting that sunlight shining on it. See? So I get my paint bucket tool. I want it to be just slightly lighter than this mountaintop. So I'm actually going to hit I on the keyboard to get an eyedropper, and I'm going to click that layer. What it does is it gives me that color in the second box. I'm going to flip it like that with the arrow. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to bring the color up a little bit brighter to make that highlight. Hit OK. Paint bucket tool. I'm going to go click. and you can see how it creates that shape. I'm going to do it again over here on this little piece. So I think this is going to show off some highlight from the sun. Hit my paint bucket tool and click in there again. Yeah. And honestly, it would hit on this side too, I think, a little bit. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. Oops. So I want my lasso tool again, and I'm going to draw on this side a little bit. Not a whole lot. Just a little bit. The beauty of this is, if it looks bad, you can undo it. So G for my paint bucket, and click. And then Command D to deselect. Yeah, it looks okay. So you can continue doing that down on these other layers as well. But the last thing I want to do is some clouds. Now you can use a brush if you can download or find a good brush that looks like clouds, which I have, and you can download those from Adobe. I want to show you just doing it vector or with the lasso tool. So again, I'm going to take the lasso tool. I want to go back to my layer and create another layer in front. Actually, I want to put it in front of the mountain. So let's put it up here. Let's go Command and then. So I'm going to say cloud 1 because I'm going to make a couple of these. So cloud 1 I'm going to put in front of this mountain. And so we're going to have this kind of misty cloud that goes in front of the mountain. So I'm going to draw just, I'm just going to freehand some cloud shapes, whatever I think might look cool. Just cut it off there. Yeah, might look okay, might look bad. Now I want, I can use this color again. I want a cloud color. So I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to bring the saturation down a little bit. Let's hit OK, and my paint bucket G. Fill that in. Ooh. I don't like that color. It looks too dirty. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to get something closer to the color of the sun, which is a little bit brighter pink. Click in there. And then I'll bring the color a little bit brighter white. Hit OK. And click. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. I don't love this bottom part, so what I'm going to do is take my lasso tool and kind of draw inside here. Okay, come on, pen. Speed up. Ugh. Pen is being slow. So, fix this up. So what I can do is, if I draw back into that shape, I can just fill that in. No harm, no foul. So I got a little bit better of a cloud. And you can do that. I can create another cloud layer. Actually, cloud 2. And I'm going to put it in front of the, behind the sun on the sky. So, well, actually, let's put it in front of the sun. I'll put it in front of the sun, but behind the mountain. So I'm going to go in here and draw a little bit of clouds. It's going to go behind that mountain, in front of the sun. I'm going to hit that one G. See that? And I'm going to do one over here that is behind the sun and cloud 3. Lasso tool. Behind the sun. That's kind of a long one. Okay. I'm going to hit you again. That one's like a little bit bright. I'm going to actually bring this closer to the color of the sky. Just slightly. Click it. Yeah. So that is what we're going to be working on. These for the next project, we're going to be doing a series of landscapes like this. But this is the basics. This is how you get sort of the basic thing created, and then you can go in more and do more details. You can add characters or animals or other elements in there. Birds in the sky, airplanes, robots, monsters, Pikachu. You can kind of do anything you want with this. You kind of do those in silhouettes though, so it gives it a little bit of a mysterious look. But I do want to add some trees to this, so I'm going to show you how to make trees. But I'm going to stop here, and this will be your beginner tutorial for doing this project. All right, guys, thank you. And check out the tree video that I will be posting as well.